Boeing used to be the plane, not a plane. The plane. You flew in America, you flew Boeing. That was just the arrangement. Nobody told Airbus about the arrangement. A European company built a factory in Alabama, started making planes there, on American soil, and it is now quietly outselling Boeing in Boeing's own country. This isn't an underdog story, by the way. Airbus is the biggest plane maker on Earth. It just spent 20 years acting like it wasn't, while it built a beachhead in the one market it wasn't supposed to win. Quick history, because it explains why this one stings. For most of the 20th century, American plane maker meant Boeing. Full stop. McDonnell Douglas merged in during the 90s, and that barely counted as competition. That was Boeing absorbing its own shadow. Airbus was the backup option, the plane you flew if the airline couldn't get a Boeing. That reputation took 30 years to build. It's taken about 10 to fall apart. Here's the part that should bother you more than it probably does. Since 2015, Airbus has been assembling planes in Alabama, not shipping them from France and slapping on a sticker, building them in Alabama. There are 3 separate assembly lines running now. Airbus just opened the newest one. The target is 75 A320 family jets a month by 2027, built partly on American soil, flown by American Airlines, sold to American passengers who have absolutely no idea their domestic flight came out of a factory owned by a company headquartered in Toulouse. Delta flies them, JetBlue flies them, American flies them, United flies them. You've probably sat in an Airbus and assumed it was a Boeing because that's just what planes are, right? Wrong. And that assumption is exactly what's quietly coming apart. Here's the scoreboard, and it isn't close. Through the middle of 2026, Airbus had booked roughly 886 gross orders. Boeing was well behind that. Airbus's backlog grew by over 500 aircraft in 6 months. Boeing had good months, sure. A strong April, a decent January, cute. Doesn't matter. Airbus won the year. So why does this matter to you, a person who does not personally purchase commercial aircraft? Because which company wins a sales race turns into, why is my flight delayed? Why did my ticket just get more expensive? And why does my hometown airport suddenly fly fewer places? Boeing's production problems aren't abstract. Airlines have had to trim schedules and delay routes because the planes they ordered simply weren't showing up on time. Every jet Boeing can't deliver is a seat that doesn't exist, a fare that doesn't come down. You don't have to care about aerospace to feel that. You just have to buy a ticket. Here's the twist nobody frames correctly. Airbus didn't win by being foreign. It won by becoming American enough. Alabama isn't a marketing stunt. It's a billion-dollar bet that the fastest way past the buy American instinct isn't to fight it. It's to satisfy it. 3/4 of that plant's workforce is local hires. Real jobs, real paychecks, real tax base. There's also a colder reason, and it has nothing to do with charm. US-Europe trade disputes flare up every few years, and tariffs on imported aircraft have been floated more than once. A plane built in Alabama with American labor and American parts sidesteps a lot of that risk. Airbus didn't just build goodwill in Alabama. It built a tariff shelter. Meanwhile, Boeing spent the better part of a decade doing this to itself. The 737 MAX grounding. The door plug that blew out mid-flight. Manufacturing problems serious enough that regulators capped Boeing's own production rate. The government told Boeing to slow down and prove it could build planes safely before making more of them. You cannot outproduce a rival while your own regulator has a hand on the brake. And it's not just the short-haul jets you take to your cousin's wedding. Boeing built its reputation on wide-body long-haul planes too, and that fight is tightening as well. American Airlines has been shopping for wide bodies to compete with Delta and United, and Airbus's A350 is very much in that conversation. A conversation the Boeing 787 was supposed to have locked down years ago if certification delays hadn't kept pushing entry into service back. Boeing's still fighting for that segment. It's just fighting for it, not owning it. Different sentence than the one this company was writing 20 years ago. Airbus never needed a knockout punch. It just needed to keep showing up on schedule with a competitive plane while Boeing explained itself to Congress. That's the whole story once you strip out the spin. One company kept its head down and built factories. The other kept its head down and wrote apology statements. Credit where it's due, Boeing isn't dead. Not close. It's still got a defense and space business. Airbus can't touch here, it's still delivering hundreds of planes a year, and 2026 had some genuinely strong order months. But not dead, and still the automatic choice in your own backyard are two very different claims. Here's the part that should actually sit with you. Boeing is a Seattle company, woven into the Pacific Northwest the way steel was woven into Pittsburgh, and the plane, challenging it hardest for the American sky, isn't built in Toulouse and shipped over. It's built 40 minutes from Alabama, by American workers, on American soil, for a European company's balance sheet. That's not outsourcing. That's insourcing from the other direction. If you work at that Alabama plant, this is the best thing that's happened to your town in a generation. If you work at Boeing's Renton or Everett facilities, you're watching your company's home field advantage get built piece by piece in a factory that happens to sit on the same soil you do. Next time you board a short-haul domestic flight and don't bother checking which plane you're on, that's not an accident. That's the outcome Airbus spent 20 years and $1 billion engineering. It didn't need you to switch sides. It just needed you to stop noticing there were sides. Boeing built the assumption that American plane and safe, dominant default choice were the same sentence. Airbus didn't attack that. It just moved to Alabama, hired your neighbors, and waited for the sentence to stop making sense on its own. You weren't supposed to notice. Mission accomplished. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.